The Love Boat. God, I can't sing, but if you're looking for love, this isn't the ship to be on. If you're looking for murder and mayhem, you found your ship. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. And the movie we're going to talk about today is Ghost Ship. This movie came out October 25th of 2002, 1 year after 13 Ghosts. It's an hour and 31 minutes long. It's rated R, had a budget of $20 million. And upon release in the US, it made 30 and change, and in worldwide, it made 68 and change. And we got a pretty good cast here. Oh, this film was also directed by Steve Beck, the same gentleman who directed 13 Ghosts. This is his last feature film that he's directed. He only directed two, 13 Ghosts and Ghost Ship. And we got a pretty good cast here. We have Juliana Margulies as Epps. She works on this ship that's captained by Gabriel Byrne Murphy, who's like this old grizzled seaman. And Epps is kind of like his daughter, although they're not related, but she's been with him for a long time. That's kind of relationship they have. And his crew is played by Ron Eldard as Dodge. We have the great Carl Urban is here as Munder. And we have Isaiah Washington as Greer, as first mate. And then we have a mechanic on this ship. And then we have Desmond Harrington in this movie as ferryman. And we have Emily Browning as Katie, who plays one of the ghosts on the ship they find. At the beginning of the film, she's not a ghost. As we open up the film, we see this cruise liner called the Antonia Graza, and there's a ball going on the deck of the ship. People are dancing, drinking champagne, eating some food. There's a band playing. There's a woman singing. And Katie's by herself, but the captain asks her to dance with him, and she's dancing with the captain. And somebody, we don't see who, is messing with this steel cable, and all of a sudden it just goes flying through across the deck and kills everybody. The captain goes like this to cover Katie to protect her, and it goes through here, and it shows the top of his head falling off. People's arms get cut off, their torsos are cut in half, kills everybody on that dance floor. And it's a spectacular opening scene. And the lead singer gets a hook through her face. And the reason they did that was they were playing homage to Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas. The house mother in Black Christmas died the same way. She looked up into the attic to look for her cat, and Billy, the killer, got her with the hook. And they were just doing the same thing just to pay homage to Black Christmas, which is pretty cool. Then we're introduced to our Arctic Warrior crew, and they're salvaging this ship, bringing it in, and then we cut to them at a bar drinking Miller Genuine Draft, if anybody cares. I don't know why you would, but that's in the movie. I just thought that was a nice little touch. And they're talking about how they're going to go back to Anchorage, Alaska, and they're going to take some time off. They got to do some work to the engines, and Greer's going to be getting married and all this stuff. But then they're approached by ferryman. He flies planes out over the Arctic taking weather readouts. And he's come across this big ship in the ocean, and he said he did several flybys, and there's nobody on it. And he said, I'll give you the coordinates if we could split the take on it, and I can go with you. And Murphy talks over with his crew, and they decide, let's do it. So they go on their ship, and they go out to find the ship, which they do find. And when they board the ship, and it's in pretty rough shape. It's been floating out in the ocean for like 40 years or something like that. And Murphy knows all about the Antonio Graza. Like, it went out and then it just disappeared, and nobody knows whatever happened to it. And here it is. They found it. And the ship's rudder's disabled. Like, it's not working. And the gauges aren't working anymore. Everything's rusted, really. I mean, the ocean's taking its toll on this abandoned ship. And they do some exploring before they go back to their ship, and they decide they're going to tow it in. But before they go back, Epps sees this little girl, Katie, as a ghost now. But she only sees it for a second, so she's not sure she actually saw anything, or she just imagined it. And they go back to the ship, and they plan on taking the ship back. So in the morning, they board the ship again, but this time they find these boxes filled with gold down in the hold of the ship. And they're like, let's just take the gold and get out of here. They all decide, okay, let's just take the gold. Before they can leave, their ship blows up, kills their mechanic, and now they're stuck on it. And the ship is slowly floating towards these little rocky islands. And if they hit it, the ship's going to sink. So their plan is to fix the rudder, patch the hole in the ship, and try to float it till they can find somebody to take them off of there. And one by one, the ghosts start showing up, and people start dying. And when we get towards the end, I'm going to skip over some things because I'm not going to explain the whole thing. We find out that Epps finds out that ferryman's actually this demon that the Antonio Graza came across an abandoned ship, and he was the only survivor on it, Katie tells Epps, shows her. And he came aboard with his gold boxes, and he talked the crew into poisoning all the passengers and killing the ones on the deck. And then everybody else got killed because he's a soul collector. And then he explains to it in a dialogue scene with Epps about how he's a collector of souls, and when he has enough, he's going to take it back to his boss, meaning Satan, probably. He never says that. But it makes sense. His name's Ferryman. He's the ferryman of souls to the devil or whoever. They never specify that. Epps ends up blowing the ship up because she's the last one alive, blows him up, and she ends up floating on the ocean, kind of like at the end of Titanic when she floats away on a door or a box, like a luggage thing, and that's the same thing. Epps, and she gets picked up by this other cruise liner. And at the end of the film, we kind of have a twist ending. She's in the back of an ambulance, they're getting ready to close the doors, and all of a sudden she sees her crewmates going up the plank with these gold boxes, and right behind them is Ferryman. And he just looks at her, and then we cut to black, and it's the end of the film. I gotta say, the Ferryman character is very interesting. They don't explain him that much. They explain him. Katie shows Epps who he really is, what happened to the Antonio Graza, and he explains a little bit to her about what he's about. That's it. And he's probably the most interesting character in the whole film. And we don't get to learn that much about him except for quickly at the end, and then the movie's over. And that's a shame. I think he's a pretty good villain. I think Desmond Harrington plays him right. I would have liked more of his character, to learn why he does what he does, who he's actually working for, and they never really say it. I think there was some really interesting things there that they don't even explore. So they kind of gloss over it to get to the ending, which is still a cool ending. I like it. Now, is this movie any better than 13 Ghosts? I think by a little bit it is. I saw this opening weekend with a friend of mine, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Obviously, the beginning of the film is spectacular. I love the beginning of the film. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. A steel wire wouldn't do that. I think they even disproved it on Mythbusters back in the day. But it's still an awesome opening scene. And K&B did the makeup effects again like they did on the first two Dark Castle films. But no kill ever reaches the heights of that opening scene. Nothing for the rest of the movie comes close to that. So the first 5 minutes, boom, you hit us with that, and then nothing ever comes close to that the rest of the film. Now, the acting is pretty damn good. I mean, Gabriel Byrne is great as the old salty seaman who has all these stories about being on the water for so long. And Julianne Margulies is good as kind of the Ripley character, because that's kind of what she is. And, Carl Urban's great, and Ron Elder's great, and Desmond Harrington, I like. Isaiah Washington's good. Everybody's good. Everybody does great with what they have. It's just the script's not that great. It's not that interesting. It's okay. It's fun. You can have a fun time. The production design is great. Steve Beck's directing here is better because they don't edit the shit out of this movie. I mean, there's some quick cuts, but nowhere near as bad as 13 Ghosts. Like, I knew what was going on at all times. I wasn't confused by the rapid fire editing. It's well lit. Probably a little bit too well lit for a ghost story, but whatever. So you can sit down and have a really good fun time with this. I actually like this film a little bit more than 13 Ghosts. It wasn't always that way. I used to like 13 Ghosts more, but over the years I came to appreciate this a little bit more. Not that I think this is a great film by any stretch of the imagination. It's nowhere near as good as House on Haunted Hill, but I think it's a fun time. It moves pretty quick. It's only an hour and 31 minutes long, so it doesn't take that much to get through. I would give this one a 6.75 out of 10. I think it's a little bit better than 13 Ghosts. So yes, 6.75 out of 10 for Ghost Ship. Have you ever seen this film? What are your thoughts on it? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly appreciate it. You all have a great weekend, and I'll be back next week with some more horror reviews. Thanks. Bye.